part of it, I think, is a little insidious. There's a lot of sympathy marketing out there for small businesses. A lot of those videos go viral where somebody is recording an empty restaurant and then, everybody swarms in, of course. All of that kind of, it feels a little insidious to me, but I wanted to write about that in a way.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. Jinwoo Chong is the author of the novels I Leave It Up to You and Flux, a New York Times Editor's Choice and finalist of the PEN/Hemingway Award for Debut Novel. I really enjoyed I Leave It Up to You. It's a family story set in Fort Lee, New Jersey, and features a Korean family working in a Korean restaurant, with a family dynamic that feels really real. Jinwoo and I talk about the research that went into writing so colorfully about restaurant culture, as well as his own food memories from growing up in New Jersey. And at the top of the show, it's the return of three things, where Eliza and I talk about what is exciting us in the world of restaurants, cookbooks, and the food world as a whole. I hope you enjoy this episode. What's up, Eliza? How are you?
I'm good, Matt. How are you?
Good. You want to talk about three things?
Yeah, you want to go first?
Yeah, I will. I really, really, really am excited about Room for Dessert. It's David Leibowitz's book, originally published in 2010. He has revised it for a new edition with new recipes and brand new photos from the terrific photographer Ed Anderson. And if you remember this book, it's David's big breakout and really introduced David to the world of pastry and recipe writing. And I love the classic recipes like an apple quince tarte tatin. There's a nectarine raspberry upside down gingerbread cake. And the new recipes are as good as the old. And I just love that he's brought it back and, showing his life in Paris and his new apartment there and going to the markets with Ed with a fresh photo program. Terrific book.
Yeah, gingerbread upside down cake sounds delicious.
It's great. What's your first thing?
My first thing is that I went to a new lunch spot for me here in Midtown. I went to Pavé, which is a French bakery that Mahira Rivers, our lovely taste contributor, mentioned in her truly Herculean New York Times croissant roundup that she did, where she tried over 200 croissants in the city to find the best. So the croissant there is what she highlighted, but when I went, I got a camembert sandwich that was just such a perfect version of that classic. It was like the right size and heft of bread. They make it fresh there. And I don't think there's a lot of great food options on that side of Midtown. So that's my first thing.
I love that. I remember talking to Mahira about that epic journey, and Pavé did come up in our combo. So amazing you went there. How close is the office? Is it like a short walk?
Okay, it's not like I did the walk, but it's easily 20 minutes for one direction. And it was 90 degrees when I did it.
Yeah.
So I don't think I would recommend that necessarily, but it is what happened.
I'll make the journey.
Yeah, I'll bring you one next time.
Thank you.
What's your next thing?
My next thing is I was sent a incredible coffee. I'm blown away by it. The fine folks at Coffee Project New York dropped a bag in the mail to me, and I want to talk about it. It is a Colombian coffee from Finca Milan, and what's interesting about it is they're using this nitro culturing process, which involves nitrogen-assisted fermentation. It's an anaerobic method using fruit must and selected microbial cultures in a controlled bioreactor. I definitely read that from the website. That is a quote.
It's giving PR.
It's giving PR, but it's also giving there's deep science behind this interesting coffee. It expresses a naturally processed coffee. So it doesn't have that clean washed coffee, that tightness that I love so much about washed coffees. It's the opposite end of the spectrum. It's not the coffee for everyone, for sure. It definitely has really broad flavors of fermentation and wildness. And I think when you get into the naturally processed and fermented coffees, it really drinks like a natural wine versus a more traditional wine method. And I really didn't know much about Coffee Project New York, and I'm really happy to be introduced to them. They have tasting rooms and workshops around the city. I think they have 3 locations. And the founders seem great, and maybe we'll have them on the show one day. It was really terrific coffee.
That sounds delicious.
What's your next one?
My next one is I want to call out the CSA program that One Love Community Fridge just launched because I think it's really cool, and I've been enjoying seeing different kinds of community-supported well, I guess CSA inherently is community supported, but a community supported CSA, not only in that it's supporting local farms, but also it's broadening access to who is able to participate in the CSA. So what they're doing is you can sign up for this 10-week subscription for the CSA, and every subscription kind of supports at least 2 other donated bags for people in the community. Or you can also just go on the website and buy an a la carte bag that is going to be gifted to someone else. It's running from 10 weeks from August through October, which I think is actually the best season for produce here in New York. We have all of the end of summer crops that are just so delicious going into fall. I think by the time this episode comes out, the enrollment period for the CSA will be closed, but I think you'll still be able to go on the website and buy an a la carte bag for someone. And I think just in general, seeing this program happening, which I believe is in partnership with Project Eats and J. Crew's sponsoring, is just nice to see.
And it was terrific meeting Azimrit at our event at the Bell House. And I love this organization, and we'll keep talking about it. I appreciate you bringing it up.
Yeah. What's your last thing?
My last thing is a reminder that Van Leeuwen is absolutely top of the game when it comes to non-dairy. I love their non-dairy line, and they're using, for the one I recently tasted, which was their Sicilian pistachio, they're using oat milk, which I think is a really nice choice for non-dairy ice cream. I'm not the biggest fan of the coconut profiles that a lot of non-dairy ice cream express, but I love the Sicilian pistachio flavor. It's really great when you have it at that perfect temperature. It's like gelato. It really gives a lot of gelato flavor and texture, and I love this product.
Yeah, I'm a fan of their non-dairy flavors also.
What's your last one?
My last thing is this dish that I've been obsessed with eating this summer that I want to talk about. It's a matcha udon salad at Muteki Udon, which is kind of in the larger Barclays area. They have so many things in this salad that I can't list them all here, but there's this perfect, like, made-in-house springy matcha udon noodle that's being paired with okra and mushrooms and greens and pickles and tofu soboro, and it has this like light truffle yuzu dressing going on.
Oh, lovely.
Tanya recommended it to me because I said I was looking for a chilled noodle that was in like the larger neighborhood. And I've been back twice since. It's just so satisfying and delicious. And every time it's so much food that I think I'm going to take it home. And then every time I manage to eat it all.
I love an udon choice. And you know what? It probably travels well.
I think it would travel well because it's not sitting in broth. I just, can't help myself. But they have a ton of other amazing looking udon on this menu that I'm looking forward to eating once it's no longer quite so hot.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing your 3 things.
You too.
I love Maine lobster for its versatility in the kitchen and its iconic flavor. The sweetest lobster on earth, prepared in pasta, served chilled in a salad, and of course in a lobster roll. Maine's lobster fishery is among the most sustainable in the world, with every lobster harvested by hand, one trap at a time, from independently owned and operated dayboats. Maine lobster can be purchased year-round, fresh or frozen, raw or pre-cooked, shell on or shell off, and with ready-to-eat and ready-to-use options. Visit lobsterfrommaine.com for details. Named one of the Wall Street Journal's 10 best places to go in 2025, Traverse City is northern Michigan magic. Think sparkling blue waters, golden dunes, and of course, incredible food. This summer marks the debut of the Traverse City Food and Wine Festival, running August 20th through 24th. The event highlights both national and local chefs including Tyler Florence, Ji-Hae Kim, Mei Lin, and Kate Williams, and features ticketed dinners, a grand tasting tent, and wine tasting. Visit TraverseCityFoodAndWine.com for details. Jinwoo Chong, welcome to This Is Taste. How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you for having me.
I'm thrilled to speak with you. I've spoken about your book on the show on 3 Things. When I read it, I was like, Jinwoo, you have this instinct to write so clearly about restaurants and restaurant families. I think your novel is obviously about more, and I'll ask you a bit more about the logline because it's incredible. But honestly, first off from the jump, what's food like in your life? And do you have any favorite New York restaurants that you're going to these days?
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, let me thank you for that. That's the highest compliment to be noticed by people who know food and all of that. I feel very out of my element writing about it sometimes, and that means so much. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, sure.
Eating out, I'm so big on hand rolls right now because they're a little bit bigger than just a little piece of nigiri that you would eat. They're smaller than like a tray of rolls. And, you could just, I love the counter eating part of it.
Yes.
And so there's a couple. I work at in Times Square right now, and I go right over to Bryant Park where Mari.ne is. And the chef there, he's responsible for Kochi and Mari as well. And
Chef Shim, yeah.
he's unbelievable. It's so beautiful, and I love that one. Brooklyn DeKalb Market has Daigo hand rolls.
Yeah.
And they are unbelievable. I go there all the time, and I have no business going there because I live in New Jersey now. It's like an hour and a half commute to go there, but I still do that.
That I love that place. I've been to the restaurant on 4th Ave.
They have a restaurant?
They do. Yeah, Daigo has a restaurant. I think it's off of 4th, kind of like in Gowanus, Park Slope, kind of that bumper.
No way.
And the DeKalb Market stand. I love that it's never come up on the show. And Daigo doesn't get a lot of press. It certainly isn't in the New York Times top restaurants. Great call there.
Yeah, they're just lovely. And so I'm obsessed with hand rolls right now, and we'll see what happens.
So let's set up the book a little bit. We encounter Jack Jr. in the opening scene, and it's really unique. So I just, for our listeners who haven't read the book, and please do, I Leave It Up to You is the name of it. I think if you enjoy food and you enjoy a really great story, a love story, a story about family, this book is gonna speak to you, but set it up a little bit.
Absolutely. Okay, so the elevator pitch I've gone with, and I struggle with elevator pitches. My first novel was a sci-fi fiction thriller
called Flux.
Called Flux. It was very difficult to boil down. This one, I worked kind of more diligently to do that, and it's about a young man who skips COVID because he's been in a years-long coma. And when he wakes up, of course, everything is different. His fiancée is gone, his job is gone, his apartment in New York is gone, and he really has no other choice but to reconnect with his estranged family in Fort Lee, New Jersey, which is, if you're unfamiliar with the geography, it's very close to the GW Bridge.
Yeah.
And this family of his runs a sushi restaurant that is the main setting for the rest of the novel.
Yeah, and it's a Korean American family, and it's set in, and I've written about Korean American communities in America, and Fort Lee is truly unique in that it's across the river, literally from Manhattan, Koreatown, but very different, very village-like. Many restaurants feel like they're not pressed for that innovation, and that they're not moving forward as fast as Manhattan. And let me ask you about Fort Lee, about this community. I don't even know. Did you grow up in and around it? Because you get a sense in the novel for just geography, the way people walk around Fort Lee. You talk about the cliffs versus the more urban sprawly parts of it. Really astute, and I love Fort Lee so much.
Oh, thank you. I grew up very close by-ish. I grew up in Princeton, New Jersey, so a little bit more central in the state. But almost every weekend, my parents took me there to Fort Lee to sometimes go shopping for banchan, like groceries, because there was an H Mart there. And way back then in the early 2000s, there were no H Marts anywhere like they are now. And sometimes I would get my hair cut there. We'd go for dinner, things like that. We'd spend all Saturday there. And of course, at 10 years old, that sucked. I hated going to Fort Lee.
You wanted to be watching TV.
I wanted to watch SpongeBob. I wanted to do just hang out and I wasn't allowed to watch TV during the week as well. So Saturday was one of my real TV days. And I knew at 8 in the morning when my dad woke me up and said, we're going to Fort Lee, that my entire day would be ruined. And for a lot of my adolescence, it was ruined. And I look back on that with such regret because when I think of my parents they're both first-generation immigrants. My mom came here when she was 5 and my dad when he was 17. So different experiences. But they saw in Fort Lee something that they were missing, especially my dad. He could order at restaurants without having to translate himself or just look around and see Korean people everywhere. And that was a very strange thing to realize comforted them because it discomforted me. I grew up around all white people in Princeton, and going there, it just felt very strange to be around so many people that looked like me. And now I look back on it with such fondness. My parents still live in a little bit north of Fort Lee now in Alpine, Demarest area.
Yeah.
And every time I visit them, I want to go to Fort Lee to have dinner.
And you've written this novel that pays a lot of tribute to the community. And what's the food like for you at age 10, at age 15? Is your family cooking Korean food at home and then picking up the panchan and picking up all the ingredients at H Mart? Is Korean food kind of your food?
My folks were weird. We did not cook anything Korean.
That's interesting.
We went
atypical, I'd say.
Yes,
For the immigrant
absolutely.
experience, right?
Everybody's mother has a kimchi recipe.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a soup recipe. All of that. We didn't have any of that. We went out to eat when we wanted Korean, and so that probably informed all of those visits to Fort Lee when I was younger, because that was usually the only time that my parents ate Korean food was over there. At home, it was a lot of American, like suburban things, a lot of turkey sandwiches, a lot of spaghetti, a lot of just very small. Both my parents worked full time and they were home right at 6. They had to, toss everything together really quickly because everybody would be hungry. So there wasn't a lot of opportunity for meals and things. And then also, there wasn't a lot of opportunity for the handing down of culture in our kitchen. It didn't really happen there. It happened in the restaurant.
Yeah. Did you ever go to Maciel House? Does
No.
that name ring a bell for you?
I don't think I've
It's like
ever
closer to
heard of that
Leonia, I think. It's a Fort Lee. For me, it had a Hoida Bap place in the front, and then in the back, gamjatang was like the main dish that they kind of known for. And my really good friend, buddy, and co-writer Duki Hong on my 2 books is from Leonia.
Oh, wow.
So he introduced me to a lot of places.
Is it still there?
Yeah, I think so.
I've got to check
Last
that
time
out.
I checked, but it may have been a COVID casualty, and it leads to my next question. You are so skilled in this novel of capturing the restaurant family. It's many levels. We talking about restaurants as family, just the employees who work there and who spend all these crazy hours and doing family meal. But then there's also the family who literally owns the restaurant. And you capture this succession of the chef, the father, and the son. And I think the intimacy there and the conflict is very common in restaurants when you're talking about generational restaurants, and you really, really nail it. And it spoke to me. My sister-in-law owns a restaurant, so it's part of my own family. How did you research for this novel, not knowing that you didn't work in restaurants, you don't work in this industry, but you somehow intuited this family connection? And I think I messaged you. I was like, did you embed with a restaurant? So skilled.
I wish I had embedded. Sometimes I lack the gumption to really do so much, to go out and, because I am afraid of rejection. Like, I am afraid of wasting people's time, things like that. I have a friend whose book came out in May. She said she went to therapy for the first time to understand what her characters would go through in therapy. Like, I feel like I don't think I could.
Yeah.
I feel so uncomfortable, like, embedding, as you say. So a lot of my research was YouTube. It was a lot of food memoirs. The one I can think of is Your Table is Ready by Chechi. That was really incredible, eye-opening.
Yeah.
And when I think about the YouTube videos like Eater New York, all of those kinds of the sharply cut kind of really glossy videos that take people inside the business of the restaurant, it's always at a really fancy, like, vibey place. Everyone's very professional, and they're talking about getting fish deliveries from their guy at the market. And then I started thinking, and this is where I think the exercise of imagination came in, was what if that guy, your guy at the market, was your dad or your uncle or something like that? And how complicated would that then be to figure out the deadlines and the margins and all of those really slim things that happen in running a business like that, because it can be so precarious, so dangerous. And then add on to that the emotional weight of dealing with all of that with your family. It feels like a time bomb. And so I tried to imagine what that would be like to work with your family.
It's very, very, very astute. And I think the frequent visits the characters make to the fish market in a beat-up passenger van, and like the waking up in the morning at 5 a.m. And this is a restaurant that's like an omakase. It's a place that really prides itself on the quality of the fish. And anyone who knows omakase knows there has to be multiple fish runs a week, and hand selecting fish is key. And you really nail that. And did you hang out at the market a little bit, or was that pure imagination?
That was pure imagination.
So cool.
I knew a little bit about the Fulton Fish Market,
Yep.
which is the one that features in the novel. It used to be in Seaport.
Yep.
You can tell because in Home Alone 2, the wet bandits arrive after breaking out of prison at the fish market. But they moved to Hunts Point a while ago, and I had never been there. But for a while, it wasn't open to just shoppers. It was fully just like a professional kind of place. And now I think they're open to shoppers, so I would love to go.
Let's talk about the cutting of the fish, because I think you really nail the way omakase is prepared. And it's clear that with YouTube as your main research, you were like really, looking at videos, but you also credit in the acknowledgments, 20 restaurants in there. How did you geek out? And you mentioned hand rolls, so clearly Japanese food is very important to you and this traditional cutting of fish. But how did you figure out that the realistic portrayal of fish cutting?
So firstly, sushi is my favorite food.
Got
I would
it.
eat it every day if I could, even though it's, it's kind of fatty, kind of unhealthy, so I try not to. And also the rice.
Yeah.
But I would eat it every day if I could. And it was, as you say, just a lot of observation. And it does make sense that I gleaned a lot of that learning from the visual media of watching people do it, not just in video, but across the bar at these restaurants.
Yeah.
The ones that I name in the book were my childhood places. It's one of the first places where I ate sushi for the first time. And I think I have a very tender spot in my heart for those places. One of them, anyone who went to Georgetown will understand this place called Epicurean, which was like a student hangout. By any means, not high end. There was one guy working there who would make a salmon roll, that kind of stuff. But it holds such a special place in my heart to watch him make orders, and also just to interact with customers. I feel like that's a thing in America, especially the distillation of the craft of omakase towards American audiences has taken this kind of like performance edge to it. You have to talk, you have to look cool while doing it, you have to use the blowtorch, the butane torch, you have to do interesting things like use interesting ingredients that catch people's eye. In Japan, they just put it right in front of you, they watch you eat it, and then they make the next one without another word. And that was interesting to understand the difference between those two kinds of disciplines.
Yeah, really smart. I think Jack Sr. Is a little bit more laconic, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe not. He's of an older generation who maybe weren't into the performative nature of the omakase.
Oh, yes.
And Jack Jr. comes in and has a little bit different flair. I love also that it's not just the fish cutting. There's a dish, is it garum jim, or it's like a egg custard that I apologize, I can't remember exactly the detail, but you talk about the pains of creating it perfectly. How did you come upon that dish, that single dish that was being scrutinized and like really no one could figure out how to do it except for the two jacks?
Yes, that's tamago yaki.
It's tamago. Okay, that's what it was. Great.
That's it's something that's usually served at the end. It has a bunch of, it comes in quite a few forms of quite a savory, very eggy form.
Yeah.
And then also a very sweet, almost dessert-like form when you add a starch to it. And that's from Daisuke Nakazawa's recollections. He is responsible for a couple of restaurants here, but was an apprentice under Jiro Ono. And Jiro Ono would serve a very kind of cakey, very decadent tamago at the end of his omakase. And Chef Nakazawa said that he labored for years to make one that would pass Jiro's test. When he made it finally after years, he wept because it was such a relief. And that story has always stuck with me because, it is I've now done a little bit of research into how it's made, and you have to basically observe it at all times over the lowest flame possible to cook it almost like sous vide it over a flame. And that really spoke to me as something, this like kind of unreachable ideal that Jack Jr. is striving for.
Yeah, I love that technique in the novel, and it's grounded in reality. Another element that really you tap into, and we talk about a ton on the show with creators and others, is the way TikTok in particular, and maybe Reels in a bit, plays into restaurant culture. And the character is online. I'm not going to spoil it. It's a cool little tech like development, and it kind of goes viral. And how did you come upon that idea that virality can really change a restaurant's trajectory?
Well, I never thought I would insert TikTok or any social media into anything I was writing. And I used to turn my nose up at TikTok. Now it's my most used app. And I just... It's a powerful tool. It's changed publishing, certainly. It's also changed the culinary industry. And part of it, I think, is a little insidious. There's a lot of sympathy marketing out there for small businesses. A lot of those videos go viral where somebody is recording an empty restaurant and then, everybody swarms in, of course. All of that kind of, it feels a little... insidious to me, but I wanted to write about that in a way, and that is one of the things that Jack Jr. takes advantage of over the course of the book. He's been in this very kind of harrowing medical situation and is at a crossroads over whether to use that or not, as it pertains to social media. And so, I would love to still look down on social media, but it's an integral part.
No, I think it's open-minded about it. I don't think you're casting judgment. It's also like being done, and I could envision this being done in other restaurants where there's like a family member who's very online, and then other family members in the restaurant who are not, and the very online family member creates the account, maybe without them knowing, and that dynamic, and then there's like pure rejection for it. I mean, when you're scrolling through TikTok, are you landing on any food? Is food hitting your algorithm?
It is hitting my algorithm, but it's all the ones that I don't like because it's the influencers.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with anybody actually behind the food. It's the people that swarm to the places and make all of those weird noises while chewing and all of that. I can't stand that part of it, but I do sort of, I have to acknowledge how widespread that is. So that's what I get served on my TikTok. I wish it was different.
Switching gears a little bit, I think you address alcoholism in a restaurant family in a way that's really honest and real, and it's obviously an issue in restaurant culture. And just talk a little bit about how alcohol and the consumption of alcohol can kind of change a restaurant family dynamic, and how you tapped into that. Because it's a place of hospitality, and alcohol needs to flow, obviously, from cash flow, but also just for conviviality. But there's a darker side to it, and I think you did a nice job tackling that.
It's exactly as you say. It's a part of the business. And, I've been to so many places where the chef takes a shot of the sake with their guests.
Yeah.
It's such an integral part of the camaraderie, the performance, as we were talking about earlier, and it's almost unavoidable. And when I think about the way that media portrays people in the restaurant industry, shows like The Bear, all of these people have vices, and the hours are so long, it's so intense, it's so crazy out there that people fall back on things like that. And I wanted to be very careful about, and it's Jack Jr.'s older brother, James, who is an alcoholic, a recovering alcoholic. I wanted to be very careful about portraying that to not border on the cliche or to not make it feel like, also to not paint it as such just a poison in his life. It's part of him. And so I wanted to be really delicate about that. And I had a lot of nervousness in portraying that.
Yeah, because you have some recovery scenes, and it doesn't come off as cartoonish or cliche. It comes off as real, and I respect it because I think it's an issue that's difficult for people in restaurants to address. But in fiction, you have the liberty to paint a dramatic portrayal of this part of culture. Speaking of The Bear, I mean, what's the option situation with your book? Are we getting that option? Because it really does. I'm just going to say, California people listening, take a look at it, especially for a Korean American story, which I think those stories need to be on television. There's been some great success with Korean American television.
Oh, yeah.
And there can be more.
Yes, that option story is a big TBD. I have no idea. And I have a film agent. His name is Danny. He's lovely.
Yeah.
And he just drops in every quarter or so with like the most mind-boggling phone call. And then he'll say, we'll see what happens. And then he's gone in an
Yeah.
instant. It's such an interesting industry.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be lying if I said I didn't already cast the entire thing in my head. Because I'm a very visual writer. I try to make... I enjoy when writing is very cinematic because for me it's a blend between the two. I see them very kind of two sides of the same coin.
Well, we have reach here, so let's just go to the casting. Jack Jr., Emil, and maybe Jack Sr.
Let's see. Jack Sr. and Jack Jr.'s mother, I've got already. Jack Jr.'s mother's got to be Sandra Oh.
Yeah.
Jack Jr.'s father his name is Song Kang-oh. He played the father in Parasite.
Yes, of course.
Done.
Yeah.
Emil Cuddy, it's got to be, it could be any white guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one I'm not so worried about. Handsome.
You write him
guy.
as there's physical heat there.
Absolutely. And if I were in charge of the casting, I would pick someone that I had a crush on when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
And that would probably be, he was in Sky High.
Okay.
His name is Michael Angarano.
Oh.
And yeah, I've never forgotten his face.
Specificity is key.
That one, I've followed his career ever since. He's doing lovely things. He's on Laid on Peacock.
Yeah.
Just lovely. And Jack Jr., that one's hard.
Yeah.
The actor who read the audiobook, his name is Daniel K. Isaac. He's incredible. And I knew of him for a while because of he was on Billions.
Yeah.
He was on the other two. Yes.
Love that specificity, and it'd be great to have the audiobook actor. That does happen sometimes. So love that. Like California people, like pick it.
Call me on the phone, please.
Let's do it. Call him on the phone. Moving away from food a little bit, I love that this book. There's a clear theater lover in this book, and perhaps it's yourself, because Emil is a character who really enjoys reading plays, and it's not screenplays; it's reading theatrical. And dramaturgy is important to him. I love that. I'm a big theater fan myself, so I feel I had to mention it. How did you come across that world and bring that into the novel?
Oh, yes. So somebody turned me into a theater lover, and it was the person I married.
Yeah.
Before I met him, maybe 5 years ago, I'd seen Wicked. I'd seen Les Mis. I thought they were great.
Yeah.
And that was probably the extent of my theater passion.
Did that come up in your first date?
Absolutely. Because I said, what do you like to do? And he said, I go to theater all the time. I love everything about it, and especially plays.
Yeah.
So Emil Cuddy is my husband in a couple ways. The book is dedicated to him. And I distilled a lot of his love for the art into that character. And one of the plays that's mentioned in the book on Jack Jr. and Emil's date is "Take Me Out" by Richard Greenberg, which was recently on Broadway, and that was one of the first things we saw together. And it's a new thing in my life that I love it. I didn't know who Stephen Sondheim was maybe 6 years ago. Yeah. Last month, I saw The Old Friends review with Bernadette Peters, and I cried the entire time. Oh. And it's amazing how much he's changed me in that regard.
I love that. And I think, New York City, it's a one-on-one. I mean, London perhaps, but like it is a place where world-class theater is around every corner.
Oh, yes.
If you're visiting, you don't have to go to all the big Broadway stuff that costs, a lot. Off-Broadway is incredible, too. So. Love that, Oma. I love that that you can bring theater into it as well.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about your own writing rituals, because I've had many of like Gary Steingarten and George Saunders on the show, and they've mentioned their writing rituals. So I'll continue this tradition. When you're writing, what are your food rituals?
I have no food rituals while writing because if I eat, then I want to lay down and go to sleep. And this typically happens. And so I can only really write at night after dinner's been long digested. I can't really think about anything after I'm full. So I reach a state of complacency that I found not to be very conducive for writing. And so I kind of starve while I'm writing. And it's a little sad, but
I think George Saunders had the exact same response, frankly, which is not great copy for our show. Just saying. But I respect it. What about drinks though? Like you gotta hydrate. Are there any rituals? Because I mean, are you just head down, with headphones on or whatever, or do you have like a ritual?
Just a big tumbler of water with an electrolyte tablet.
Yes.
Noon. Shout out to Noon. Nuun. They're wonderful.
Okay.
That's about it.
No,
I get very boring. I've talked about this before. I try to be as boring as I can while writing, so that the distraction is away from me. I get very distracted while I'm working. And so I try to clear my schedule. If I've got something exciting the next day, then I'm less likely to sit down the night before to write.
Yeah.
And so I try to become as much like just a boulder as possible.
I've some fiction writer friends in my world. Do you just have a blast doing this? Do you just enjoy this world building, this creating, this like jumping into this universe that you've created?
Oh, it's the best part. The creation is the best part, and I tend now to perform it as I'm doing. I realized this before. I try to say all the dialogue out as I'm saying it. I like to read it to myself, just in. It probably sounds very crazy while I'm writing, because I'm speaking as loud as I am right now, just reading it and doing other things, talking to myself. That's the best part of it. Everything that comes later, the publicity aspect, a lot of the rejection, a lot of the kind of the disappointment that comes with putting a book out and seeing what people think of it. That's less fun, but it's all made worth it by the first part of it.
How do you find time? You have a full-time job.
Mm-hmm.
How do you do it? I think there's listeners who probably aspire to write fiction or are currently working on their own work. How the hell do you do that?
My full-time job is very boring. I think that's the key for me.
Yeah.
I work in advertising at the New York Times, and we do something that is very mathematical, very financial, very non-creative.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought for a while I would love to maybe work at an agency or be a book editor or something like that. And I realized that it would sap my creativity. I interned for a couple literary agencies, and I felt unable to write while I was working there. And so I enjoy this separation that I have of my two lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it also works that I've got a really lovely work-life balance. I can, at 5 p.m., just shut it off and then transition into my other life.
Amazing. Great advice. Maybe you don't need that creative endeavor to support your creativity after hours.
Yes. Save that juice for the things that matter.
For sure. Well said. You've written your next novel. It's in the can. Your editor has it. Your editor, Jesse, shouts to him.
Shouts to Jesse.
Yeah. And tell us about it.
All right. So it is. So I signed a deal for 2
Yes.
And in that same regard, they are kind of tonal cousins of each other.
Cool.
It's still a realist novel. I think it's funnier than I Leave It Up to You is, and it's more of like a road trip kind of black comedy thing going on. And there's less food in it, which is a regret of mine. But
that's okay.
Yeah.
You can't write food in every novel, but you clearly have a skill for it. So I would hope you do more.
I would love to do more.
When you were thinking about restaurants so deeply for this novel, did you have other ideas where you could go with your fiction in the food world, restaurant world adjacent?
Oh, I think probably I could have, as we were speaking about before, I could have embedded further, and I could have placed it, I think, more in to put the restaurant business more at the forefront of it. You can always go more with that kind of thing and make it just become an expert yourself in that kind of thing and write an entire book about that. That is something I did think about, but as I was writing it, the romantic relationship between Jack and Emile felt like it deserved more and more attention as I was coming through. I wrote it firstly without a love interest.
Yeah.
And it was a family novel. And then Emile Cuddy just kept kind of poking himself in and became such an integral part of the book that the food took more of a backseat as we continued on through the book.
Yeah, I love that choice because it can get repetitive and can get it can drag it down if you're doing too much food work. And it is a beautiful relationship. It's very clever the way you set it up at the beginning. The book is I Leave It Up to You. I just love it. On This Is Taste, we ask guests about their discerning taste. So to close this interview, here's a little rapid fire, fast and furious taste check. Are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
The best fruit.
A kiwi.
Amazing choice. What makes it so great for you?
Texture. I love the seeds. There are no seeds like kiwi seeds where it's just like a nice little crunch.
Burst of texture in with this fruit that is sweet sometimes and sour sometimes and sometimes both.
Oh, yes.
Love that choice. The worst vegetable.
Celery.
Yeah.
Because I eat it almost every day because of the fiber content. I'm really big on the fiber. And the celery is one of the best ways to get it, but it sucks.
That's incredible. So, like, how are you doing it? If you're doing it, eating it only for health, how are you like choking it down? Are you just going?
I gotta take a few stalks out of the fridge after dinner, and I bite them down.
That is what a but you've done the research. This is good fiber. Listen, I have not thought about celery as a fiber source. This is why the show maybe doesn't lean into health. Tell me, like, what are the macros? What are we looking at?
It's good fiber. I'm starting to leave it behind because romaine leaves are much better fiber, but romaine leaves are even worse just to eat raw. The best fiber, however, is the avocado, and it will blow your mind how much fiber is in one avocado. It's unbelievable. There's more in one avocado than in most leafy green vegetables, which blows my mind.
Incredible fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's blowing my mind here. Like you just like after dinner, just like as your chaser.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very, very cool. The best dessert.
Oh, apple crumble with a lot of streusel, a lot of caramel, and a big ice cream on top.
Oh, yeah. What's your ice cream choice?
Vanilla.
Yeah.
Oh, for an apple crumble, it's got to be vanilla.
Gotta be vanilla. Good choice. What is your typical breakfast?
It's a glass of iced coffee from the jar.
Yeah.
It is also the Chobani Zero yogurt with some strawberries and the Purely Elizabeth cookie dough granola.
Oh, sick. I like that choice.
It's a great granola because it's quite unhealthy. And that's how you know it's a good granola because there's lots of sugar, there's lots of chocolate. And you got to have it somehow because the granola that's cardboard and a little bit and dirt and all of that, I just can't do it anymore.
A restaurant you wish you could bring back from the dead.
I have two answers for
You
this.
get two. You wrote it. You get two.
My local answer to New York is the Pool, which was the sister to the Grill. The Grill is still there in the Seagram building, but the Pool I thought was better than the Grill because they had these nice crudo toasts, and they also had an ice cream sundae with all the fixins that was really lovely. It was open for about 45 minutes before Major Food Group closed it, and I wish it were back. Number two is El Bulli in Spain.
Yeah.
The 3-star Michelin closed in 2005 or something, way before I was cognizant of food.
Yeah.
I wish I could go back there.
Yeah. Same. Never got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think about that restaurant. It comes up a lot. I love that you called it the Pool because I think like a great crudo toast and an ice cream sundae. I mean, that is truly the best meal.
Yeah.
Just 1, 2, just go that route.
Oh, it's so easy.
So easy. You're getting so much great texture. Great call. I mean, you're a food writer, man. you got this. Would you want to do any journalism?
I would love that. That's probably the one job I could see myself doing other than writing fiction. Is something with food, writing about it, producing media about it. It's just amazing. And now that I've had a taste of it, to see what it's like in a professional sense, I could totally do it.
You guys send Sam Sifton one of those internal emails.
Yes, I'll Slack him.
Slack him. There you go. You can Slack
yeah.
Sam. I hope you do write it. So doors open here at Tasty if you want to write anything.
Thank you.
When you're craving fast food, where are you going?
A milkshake at Five Guys.
Yeah.
The cookies and cream milkshake at Five Guys is really, really great. And then it's chicken McNuggets. They're the best.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, you can't do it. I have a big plan for New Year's. New Year's, I buy a little thing of caviar from Petrosian every year.
Yeah.
Nobody else likes caviar except for me. And this year, I'm going to do McNuggets, creme fraiche, and little caviar.
That is...
in the Kokodak style, which I can't get a table at Kokodak, so I got to do it some other way.
I was going to say, this is Kokodak from the playbook, but I think getting that like 20-piece and doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Into that.
Oh, yes.
Into that. Your favorite city outside America to visit for food?
Outside of America, I just went to Florence for my honeymoon in April.
Amazing.
It was unbelievable and so different from the rest of Italy. And they've got that Florentine steak that is just, we went to a tourist spot for Florentine steak, and it was still one of the best steaks I've ever had.
I love it. It can be, it doesn't have to be on the list. It can just be a place in
Absolutely.
Florence. It does resonate with me. Last one, your favorite sandwich?
Oh, I think it's the number 7 from Jersey Mike's. It's the turkey provolone,
Yes.
Mike's Way, with the mayo, with the relish, with the banana peppers.
Thank God you put mayo on it. It's the only way to do those subs. A little bit of relish, but with the mayo. This has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining This Is Taste.
Thank you very much.
This Is Taste is hosted and produced by Eliza Barbanal and me, Matt Rodbard. The show is edited by lead producer Clayton Gumbert and supervised by Pat Stango, Director of Media Production and Development at Penguin Random House. Thanks to Shalia Harris and the production team at Penguin Random House. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Logo and guest illustrations by Ellie Skurzat. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep updated on all cool things in the world of taste.